Oh shit. Not muted. There we go.
All right, welcome everybody. We're just going to do a Epoch cast with Vito and Eleni. We're going to talk about quick hit topics that are relevant to our streaming today. And I think we're going to start with the guild banks and whether or not they belong in Classic. So starting with pros, what do you think they should be in Vito?
What do I think
Why should we have
guild
guild
banks
banks?
should be? Why should we have them? I think they're a good idea. I think they're good. People wanted them in vanilla. I can see the developers, maybe they didn't have the time or the resources to put something in there in the scale of current vanilla. They got them in there 2.2 fairly after vanilla, retired. I think that's something that they wanted to do in vanilla but could not, for whatever reason, do. I like it. There are some bad things with guild banks. It's no changes. That's the first part.
Yeah,
What do you think?
no changes. I don't think you can justify against it just strictly on no changes. I mean, that's so many people's mantra, but I don't think it holds the water when I mean, I guess in my opinion, the changes that matter are those that affect gameplay, and I think it's a very specious argument to try to argue that guild banks affect core gameplay aspects. Um, Going on to more of the pros, like, and this is really the pros and the no changes aspect, like all kind of work into each other.
Mm-hmm.
In actual vanilla, guild banks were accomplished by what? Like multiple mule accounts. Like you'd have a guildleader and officer that had like 5 different alts, one for ore, one for raid items, one for herbs, etc., one for potions. And then how did the guild access it? Well, through account sharing. So if we're going to go for no changes, then Blizzard needs to obviously roll back their account sharing ban, like the way that they the rise of the no account
Right.
sharing, which happened largely in response to the automated botting rank or what gladiator cells that had happened. I think that started around not Kata, but maybe in Kata, but definitely in Wrath of the Lich King.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
and they said, oh, if you account share, we're going to ban you. And that's something that they did not do in vanilla. So either they're going to have to let us have account sharing if we're going to have the same functionality we had in vanilla, or they're going to have to put in some other system. And I think that's the biggest argument against the no changes, because no changes can't work. Like we're breaking one system or another.
Yeah. And I want to say that one of the big parts to the account sharing was the adding of BattleNet to World of Warcraft. Once your account was a BattleNet account, it was a lot easier to track. They had what they have? They had authenticators
Oh yeah.
to combat against people losing their accounts. But I always thought it was a way to crack down on account sharing, because now they've got, oh well, they're tracking all this shit. They're tracking where you're logging in from. If you're 1 minute you're in Arizona, the next minute you're in France, obvious account sharing.
Yep.
A lot of the leveling services, they seemed pretty easy to do, because I'm giving my account to Qui-Gon Jinn over here. He's leveling up my account. He's farming me gold or whatever. And I only let him have access when I push my little authenticator button. So that's safe for me, even though I'm using an against TOS, solution, to gold farming. But as far as guild banks go, account sharing will have to be here. And it's got to be. I mean, one of the things we were talking about, account sharing requires everyone to have access to one or maybe two accounts. That's account sharing that goes against their TOS. So if we had a guild bank, obviously it's always available. Look at retail. If I need to grab something, I just go and get it. I don't think they should add the features that are in retail, like spawning a guild bank in a raid type
Oh
thing.
hell no.
None of that. None of that stuff. They played around. How many expansions was it where 10% of all the gold that dropped went into the guild bank?
Yeah, the guild tax that was passive started in Kata
Yeah.
with all the other Kata, the guild-oriented changes, which
And then
I thought were wonderful, but they rolled them back recently. But whatever.
yeah, I want to say, was it Warlords? Maybe Miss. No, I'm pretty sure it was in Miss. But obviously that encouraged. Oh, I've got a level 25 guild. Come join me because I'll get 10% of whatever you are passively farming. And then who knows what those small guilds were doing with that money. Now, some people have said that one of the negatives is it destroys the economy. I could see that. With the game being out for so long, we know what people will farm. We know what people will need in a pinch. We know what people will hold on to for a long time. Guild
Yeah, I
banks
mean,
kind of enable that as well.
yeah, but like, let's be real. People are going to create the multiple accounts and save all the stuff for the war effort anyway. War effort's a big one, and then just Nax release. Like, what are we doing? We don't know if guild banks are going to happen or not, but what are we already doing? We're already telling our members that they need to save ghost mushrooms and grave moss and everything on their way up and save earth elemental and fire elemental. The items are already out there. The meta's out there. We know what consumes are needed. So whether there's a functional guild bank or not, we're going to be saving the stuff ahead of time.
We will have a guild bank.
Yep, it's just whether
it's just a matter of the UI.
Yeah, it's whether it's in the game or not.
Right.
I guess this kind of ties into like, well, if we're not running the guild bank, is it really an advantage to have a guild bank? I think we did the math earlier in this. It's what 1,908 slots, just passively per account. This through account mules versus what 212 or no 784. So you're getting almost 2,000 slots just through the mule system, which is less than what would you get from an actual guild bank.
Right, and a guild bank costs 39,000 gold, unlocked via the BC method. They think they added 2 extra tabs in, I want to say, Wrath or Kata. But the end game number was 39,000 gold to pay. It's a gold sink. That's good for the economy. Having gold go into the Nether is a perfectly. Weren't too many gold sinks in vanilla outside of I'm going to say just epic mounts
and spec changing.
And spec changing, yeah, a spec changing big one, and of course repair bills for PvE raiders.
Oh yeah,
especially those heavy plate wearers and 2 one-handed weapon people and shields and shit.
200 gold. Shields? It would cost me more than 200 gold to repair in vanilla at the end of the expansion. At the end
Do shields have a weight too when it comes to repair? Are they more than a one-hander?
Yeah, they have a heavy amount of durability on them.
Oh shit, that's a yikes.
What's up?
Because I still have a shield as a shaman, so that sucks for me.
Yeah, but like whatever, you're gonna be wearing half leather and stuff. I mean, eventually you end up in mail.
Some cloth.
Your repair bills are nothing. I don't think I heard of any non-tank that was above 100 gold repair bills.
No, mine 50.
Yeah.
I saw some 50s and some 60s. Yeah, not 100. No.
Yep. I mean, I guess the other kind of ties in. I mean, like I said, this is all such an interrelated topic. Whether something's a benefit or a negative is kind of your matter of perspective. I'm getting mauled by my daughter. Auditing. There's not going to be any secret embezzlement. I mean, it won't stop theft, which is one of the cons, or a counterpoint to the positive. But like, you will not have officers that are secretly taking 1 potion out of every stack of 5, etc. I mean, it's unlikely that a guild master that's worth following, that actually cares about his guild, is going to do a lot of embezzlement. But if you try to share it between members, you can definitely get some embezzlement that happens. And that's one of the one of the big counterpoints to having an actual guild bank versus the fake guild banks or the mule accounts.
And I mean, if that's what it takes, we'll have the proper characters set up for that. It's gonna happen. And whether it's a guild bank that everyone can access in retail, or if it's, hey, I want to buy some shit from the guild bank, please log into bank alt EOT2.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I am more pro guild bank just for the functionality of it, because it just seems necessary in a modern WoW environment, particularly like we already talked about the anti-sharing, but it's not a core feature in vanilla. Like I said, it's a specious argument, but can you really imagine like trying to argue that guild banks were a core part of the game? So logging in and out of tunes like that, and it's a game that only the officers played. Like, so my game, I'm going to design a game where you log in, log out, put a different password in, log into a tune, and then you dual box to trade. You're like, that doesn't sound like a game to me. So
no.
I mean, let's be honest, I'm a little biased in here. I'm a guild master, so if there's no guild banks that are functional, then it's going to be me running guild banks, because I'm not going to let every random person access these characters. oh, more power
Correct.
for me, but like that also means more work for me. If the goal of
Yeah.
vanilla is to create a community that's great for everybody, I think guild banks work right in towards that goal.
Oh, and you got to realize that they've also made changes to the loot system in effect of
Loot trading.
you are going to pick up all the loot from our first kill of Lucifron. We're going to kill him. We're already going to start pulling packs. You're just going to be like, all right, here's the loot. I've got it. We may not distribute it till after Magmadar's dead.
Yep.
We may wait till, who's there? Gehennis?
Yeah, Gehennis.
And then we might even get to the loot from Lucifron could sit in your bags until we kill Gar.
Or eventually it's faster clears until
Or
we
the
kill
end of the-
Ragnaros.
Yeah.
Hand it
We
off the
kill
whole
him-
raid at the end.
It's what, 2.5 hours?
2-hour
retail, I
window.
wanna
It's a
say?
2-hour window, and a molten core run that takes more than an hour and a half when you're geared is pretty slow. Like,
Yeah.
so like you're looking at
Easy mode.
distributing it all at the end. So yeah, you can't claim authenticity about the guild banks whenever you're changing such a major fact. Not that I'm arguing against loot trading in raids because I think it's a wonderful system.
Right.
But
Oh
wait, now we're arguing slippery slope in favor of ourselves. Oh no.
I do understand that they wanted to make it as easy as a transition from 7.3.5, and loot trading was something that said if we don't do anything, they get this feature. Cool. I'm pretty sure guild banks are another one of those.
Yep. They would have to
If they
redesign
don't-
a UI. They'd have to make a character or something in the bank, but beyond
Right.
that.
They would have look at how long it took for them to add 4 slots to the backpack. That took 14 years.
Yep.
And that's a base inventory system that's been there since alpha. The backpack, they said it's their biggest thing they can't fuck with, and they just now got the technology. We're photographing black holes in 2019, and we just added 4 backpack slots to World of Warcraft retail. You telling me you can't add a guild bank without screwing anything up, or even subtract one? What's going to happen if like banks just up and disappear, like characters, regular banks up and disappear because they do a patch phase 1 to phase 2 rollout. All of a sudden, everyone loses everything out of their actual banks because some glitch with us not having guild banks. Can you imagine that?
Oh, that'd
That's a
be hilarious.
possibility.
Oh boy.
Blizzard, what are you doing, man? If you give us a release date and a beta, we could get these bugs fixed.
So one unique argument I heard against guild banks was, and it was arguing that it really is a a core gameplay feature of vanilla, and that is the forced interaction between raiders and officers. By having to wait for an officer to log on the guild bank and hand you items, you're also being forced to private message that officer and actually rely on them as a source of power. I think that's actually a good point. It's a pretty
Yes.
creative argument. I appreciate the lawyer who brought that up to me. Well, armchair lawyer or whatever.
Mhm.
So, I mean, that's one I have to concede. I think that is something that would be lost if we have just a central guild bank. But do I think it's an essential aspect? I don't, and I certainly don't think it's for the best.
I think there's going to be more interaction just from loot. Talk with your class leader. We're gonna roll how many shamans? 8.
We're running six per raid team with 8 on some bosses probably.
So that's 6 to 8 people. Well, 5 to 7 people answering to one, discussing things. I mean, trash pulls are pretty boring. We're going to be discussing, hey, this drop's coming up. Let's discuss it. Maybe there's a change. This is the way it's set up, and it's like, you know what? You could whisper your class leader and say, hey, he's doing a good job. He's been unlucky. If it were to go to me, I want it to go to him. So he's been pulling his weight, and maybe just hasn't been lucky. Sure, whatever. I think he needs this. And it's just like, hey,
Yeah, I think
that's interaction.
That just made me think we can kind of force some of that interaction anyway. Like we can, in the power structure, we can request that everybody go through, whether there's a guild bank or not. We can request everybody get access through their class leader and not just give them open access, no open tabs or whatever.
Right. I mean, when I want to buy something at work, I have to go through my controller, and then he has to go through the administrator. I don't just get to buy stuff willy-nilly. I get to propose things, and they take my knowledge in the field as, oh yeah, I fucking know what the fuck you're doing. Sure, go ahead.
I think
I
you're
don't
giving
have
me
the
some
keys to the car.
PTSD, man. I'm thinking about the purchasing process in the military. Oh my god.
Well, oh, you need that? Oh, okay.
Yeah, we'll
I
just
don't
have your
care
unit
why.
resource manager check that out, and like have to justify it to like 8 different people, and then wait 3 months to get the item that you needed yesterday. Like, oh boy. Yeah. So I mean, if you were putting the system in, what systems or what protections would you put in Veto to ensure that this wasn't breaking the game or changing the dynamics too much
Oh,
for guild banks? How could you put them in without breaking vanilla? Like, I guess that's what I'm asking you.
like we discussed before, basically restrict them to guild masters with guilds with a certain number of max level characters in them.
What do you think? 60,
I think
60, 60s, 40, 60s?
you know, how many 60s do we expect to have the beginning of phase 2, including alts?
Yeah, we're expecting to have 100 plus probably.
So would
but
you
we're going to
say
be a larger guild running 2 raid teams?
Vito's not mean. I'm a cuddly teddy bear.
Who said you were?
I love all creatures of all shapes and sizes. But I mean, that's the way to get rid of, okay, one person has a guild bank because they're one person and they got 10 people in the Valley of Trials to sign off their guild charter because he paid them all like 10 gold. That's the way to kind of, I wouldn't say like a roadblock, but more like a gate the access. So not everybody has their own guild bank because they want one. Another thing is restricted to /played cumulative of the guild. I think, they say 10,000 hours in anything makes you
semi-expert at least.
A semi-expert in the
or
field
semi-competent, like semi-novice
right.
or whatever. But.
I mean, if you do anything for 10,000 hours, obviously, you know a little bit, you know enough to get by. And I think if we had 10,000 days played over a guild, I mean, even 2,000, that's 200 guildmates that have what, 10 days played?
Yeah.
So, 10 days. It would be 2,000 days played. So that'd be 200 level 60s with 10 days played. That can happen in 2 months.
Yep.
Now, Joe Schmo, who wants his own guild bank, he's not going to have that. Unless he himself played for 2,000 days straight, which would be quite a number of years.
I guess we could also put an implement that they have to have cleared an end-game raid boss to get a guild bank too. Like you have to kill Ragnaros or you have to kill Hakar or one of those. I mean, that would be a fair accomplishment. Like the guild has to have done that with a guild master.
So you want achievements to be in the game?
Not exactly. actually, that's a whole other thing. I'm not going to destroy my credibility with no changes, but I don't have a problem with achievements. Like whatever. I don't want them forced on anybody, but
I don't either. When they hit in Wrath, it kind of gave me an extra metagame to go through, and I enjoyed it. I also liked the little sense of prestige that had cleared Anixia at 60 type stuff like that. That was cool. I enjoyed that. They kind of went crazy in the later expansions. Like I think they added
I think they went wrong when they started tying in like a billion different collectible mounts to all these achievements, and they really changed the game. Like,
yeah.
I don't want to get too far off topic since we're trying to keep these chats pretty.
Oh, right,
pretty tight.
Yeah. So guild banks, let's have them. I don't think they break the game.
I would definitely be interested in hearing feedback from some of our members or our viewers on why we shouldn't have guild banks or why they agree with us. Especially if you have a novel idea we haven't talked about, definitely hit us up.
I mean, I'm only seeing positives, and the fact that they they let loot sharing be a thing, and the reasoning they gave behind it was A, they don't have to fix any code. It's already there. Just leave it alone. 2, it was a customer service nightmare. Oh, he looted Choker the Fire Lord to a rogue.
It happens.
Can we get that sent to this priest 4 days from now? Maybe.
Pretty please. I screwed up. Don't make my guildies hate me. Yeah. So I think with that, we should probably close it up. So this is L&E, the Guildmaster of Epoch of
Well,
Thought.
hold on. We got some questions.
Oh, do we?
QVQ
Got
says,
questions? So there we go.
I don't want guild banks because that takes mana hours away from getting the game out. Let them use alts. So you want classic as fast as possible.
I think it would actually be faster because it's already coded, which we were kind of talking about earlier.
I think it's a. I don't think it's going to cost any resources to leave this in. I mean, the general game engine is already using the current. It's not using LUA. It's using our current.
Mommy, can you give her a drink?
Our current macro system,
Mommy, give you
whatever the fuck it's called.
API?
Is it Lua now? Yeah, the API. Yeah, the API is the current one. That's what we're going to get. We're not going to get the cast sequence 1, 2, 3 bullshit before. Now it's current macro system. We're getting that. We're getting loot sharing as only in raids where there's a lockout. So no Ubers like loot hoarding, which I understand why, because there would be guilds out there that would be like, well, we need to fill up some spots, get these guys in here. We're not giving them shit because the hunter's going to need on everything. He's going to win everything, and he's going to disperse it amongst everybody else. Meanwhile, the guy who has the key, he came and he didn't get shit. That's not fair. I agree with that. But who's not going to be running Ubers in a fucking... Who's not going to be running, like... What are you talking about? Oh, okay. Who's going to be running Ubers not in a guild like phase 1, phase 2? Phase 2, everyone's going to be getting their ass kicked by everybody. You're not going to get to Ubers. You're going to fly the Thorium Point and you're going to die. You're going to die right there. Oh, you can't fly the Thorium Point? You got to fly. Oh, wait, Thorium Point doesn't have a flight master in Vanilla. That's right.
It does.
You're going to fly to Kargath. Oh, it does?
Yeah.
Why did I always... Oh, it doesn't have an inn.
Yeah, they don't have an inn, but they'll have a flight path, especially if they launch with 1.12 on most.
Oh, was it added later?
It was later. That's why you're thinking it didn't have one. They did add it in the
okay.
middle, at least as far
Thorium
as I
Point was never.
It was never popular.
Was never a thing, right? Well, I always had her set to Kargath. That was the rule. I think that was a rule in EOT, wasn't it?
Yep, when we were raiding BWL and Molten Core, yeah. And then it was down in Cenarian Hold or whatever.
No, you're gonna die. You're gonna go to Thorium Point. You're gonna go to, well, maybe not Kargath, but Thorium Point. You're gonna die. And the graveyard's right there. Cool. You're gonna res. You're gonna try to mount, but then you're gonna fucking die. And you're not gonna die because someone's targeting you. You're gonna die because there's a war going on between you and the doors to Blackrock Mountain.
So what this means is there's going to be a massive rollouts from Kargath just to do Ubers, just like any other raid thing, just so people can survive the gankers. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, and who knows what's going to be happening at Kargath? There could be,
Flight Master's
fucking war there too.
Oh yeah.
At least when you use your Hearthstone, you go to your location, whether the innkeeper is alive or not. What you see is either way. Yeah, if that's it. How long was this? 23 minutes?
Yeah, we're at 23 minutes.
Not bad.
Yeah, okay. We were shooting for 10 minutes, but double's all right.
All right. So what we'll do is we want to make this a Wednesday thing.
Yeah, I can do it most Wednesdays.
Okay, because Josh said he was good with Wednesdays too, and we were kind of missing him tonight. He was going to be our third wheel to fucking keep us straight and tell us what's right and wrong.
Another fat white dude to fill up the camera.
Yes, that's true. But yeah, we'll do this Wednesday. What time was it?
We started around 9 p.m.
Yeah, so 7 p.m. PST. That sounds good. We'll throw this up on YouTube. I'll export it in like 5 seconds and put it up on there. If there's no other questions, I'm going to go see what the fuck my cat's going crazy about. Your kids settle down. You're fine. You're good to go there. They were a bit crazy.
Mauling me.
Yeah, that'll be it. All right. Good stream. We're not going to raid anybody because we're just talking about bullshit. So
no need.
Bye.
So yeah, bye. It's L&E from Epoch of Thought signing out, and J-Man.
My video's not frozen.
You were just standing still.
It just looked like it was.
See ya, guys.